Everyone, Chris here with Clutter Reduction Junk Removal. So we just met with our tax accountant this morning just to get some information about the best way to go when Tanya comes on with the business full time. So we got all that figured out. That was stressing me out a little bit. And now we are actually going to his house to do a junk removal. From the information I received, it's going to be 2 love seats, some end tables, and some odds and ends, nothing too crazy. Yeah, he is in a first-story house, so should be pretty straightforward all the way throughout. And we're just going to pick up the trailer right now, and then we'll see if we can drop off the furniture to that same donation drop that we did yesterday, and try to see if we can avoid the dump a second day in a row. Just wanted to give some updates with what's kind of going on with the business. So we are creeping up on September, which is kind of a big deal for me, aside from getting married at the end of it. But Tanya, my fiance, will be joining me with the business. She's gonna be leaving her W-2, kind of a long-term decision she's been wanting to do. She's just not happy there. It's great money, but you know, she's not happy, and she would want to do her own thing at one point. So she's gonna use my business as a stepping stone to kind of help refresh her marketing knowledge, because she actually went to school for that. Like, she has a degree in marketing and something else. And she's gonna basically work with me for a few years to kind of get her foot in the door and relearn everything and use me as like a testimonial, and then kind of do her own thing. But that's gonna be like a couple of a year journey. So some of the things that we're kind of pushing for with the business is to make it a little bit more efficient. So doing a little bit more systems to help automate stuff like a CRM, online scheduling, bookkeeping, a way to kind of keep track of like all of our networking and follow-ups and stuff like that, just so there's not so much downtime spent on like the little details. They're important, that's why we're not ignoring them, but just trying to find an easier way to do them, and in a costly manner as well. Try to keep it, you know, still frugal. We're also going to be kind of focusing our target market, who we focus on, a little bit differently, and not going to vary too much. We're still going to go after the same people, of course, but we are going to be pushing for more business professionals and more commercial side of things. And we're going to be following the 80-20 principle, which I actually talked about a while back, a couple of years ago. And my clientele is still in the same percentage as it was back then, where the majority of my jobs come in through Google, but the majority of my revenue comes from businesses or business professionals, whether that's like an organizer, a realtor, property manager, or if it comes from the senior living facility or an apartment building. Something along those lines is where the majority of our income will come from. And that's the statistic of the 80-20 principle, which is typically the top 20% of your clientele, or the top 20% of your actions that you take, usually result in the 80% of your results, or 80% of your revenue. And that's a proven statistic to occur most times. So I urge you to find out how people heard about you, so that way you can keep track of those things. It also helps with marketing too. If you do Google Ads, if you do yard signs, and you do door hangers, and you do in-person marketing, and you find that maybe yard signs aren't really pulling in a whole lot of traction, that may be something that you want to cancel out going in the future, or maybe save for just when times are slow and you just want to have things to do, because you're spending money on the yard signs and you're spending the time on it. Just altogether maybe something you want to just try to void out if it's not worth the overall cost and time spent. So if you find that, like, okay, Google brings in a lot of business, then keep doing whatever you're doing with Google. If you find that you have a lot of business coming from realtors and you're marketing to realtors on a, you know, quarterly basis, then keep doing that, because obviously it's working. So that's something we're going to be kind of pushing for, and then we're going to be really pushing towards that business side, because that's where the majority of my revenue comes from. And then I'll talk about a couple more things after the job. So it's the couch and those little brown pieces behind it. We have this recliner right here. So we'll pop the backs off, stand it up either on the hand truck or the dolly, take it up. And then outside there is a canoe. So we'll throw that in the trailer as well. Let's get started.
trying to figure out how to get a 16-foot canoe in a 14-foot trailer that's already full. I'm thinking if I move the love seat this way and I can just stick it in here and have it stand up and I'll just strap it off. Not too far from home, and we're probably gonna try to sell it. It's kind of cheap on Facebook. So I think it'll just go this way. And when, like I said, I'll just strap it down. I think that's our only option. Damn boats. Pretty good condition though. No cracks. Even just selling it kind of cheap. Alright, so it's kind of wedged in there, the mattress. I got some bungees holding the front side in. I think it'll be alright. I don't have too far to go, but there's the one. There's the yellow one. I mean, it's kind of in here. Maybe I'll throw a strap over it just in case. Alright. Job is done. Basically, I charge a quarter of a truck with a 20% discount. I use for people in my networking group that are actually using me, not just a referral. I give them my friends and family discount, which is 20%. But we're heading home right now. I'm probably going to try to sell the canoe. I don't know how much it go for. It's 16 feet long. It's kind of a pain in the ass to keep. I'll just put it in my backyard. But we'll sell it kind of cheap so it goes by fast. It has the, what's that thing called? The paddle. So I didn't notice any cracks on it. If it doesn't break during transport, it should be good to go. And then that gray sofa chair is a Kevin Charles, and there's no stains on it. So we might try to throw that up on Facebook kind of cheap, like 50 bucks, which is a good deal for Kevin Charles. You know, just to try to get rid of it kind of fast because it's pretty like bulky. And then I was gonna try to donate the recliner to one of our donation pickup people, but I ended up having to break that recliner, that back. Sometimes those little knobs, the brackets, they get kind of jammed over time, and you go to pull on it and it'll just snap off, and then you're gonna have a hard time getting it out. And I actually learned this the hard way. You can take off the bracket itself with the drill, but it's really hard to get to, and it's a pain in the ass to use a screwdriver. So it's an option, you can do it, but it's not easy. And in that kind of situation, for it being junk removal, I wasn't super worried about it. So we just kind of yanked it kind of hard, and it just kind of shattered, which is why we had the rubber band on it when we were taking it out. So it happens. Otherwise, it would have been a nice donation piece. Like, it wasn't perfect, but it was good enough for donation. Keep an eye on that canoe. That thing took me like 20 minutes to figure out where to put it and like strap it all into place. I used to charge extra for stuff like that. I used to call it a specialty item. If it was a big enough awkward piece, I would charge an extra like 50 bucks, because there's a good chance that it's gonna interfere with like everything possible. It's gonna be hard to put in, it's gonna be hard to strap up, it's gonna be in the way of pretty much everything else going forward throughout the day. Unless I have it overhang the back end of my trailer, it's gonna interfere with my tarp system in the front. Like, it's just a pain, and I used to charge extra for it. I haven't had a canoe in a while, so, and I'm not gonna charge him extra for it. But in the future, this might be a good reminder, like, oh yeah, these things suck. Let's charge extra for these to make up for our time. What the fuck? So, that's about it. Kind of going back to our initial conversation before that job with changes we're trying to make with the business. I mentioned work-life balance and systems and trying to make everything a little bit more efficient. We also are going to really try to maximize our networking, and we're going to do it in a way where it like kind of intertwines with our life balance. So most networking events are usually at night. They have some in the mornings and during the days, but they're hard to get to work-wise, like scheduling. But there's a lot of them at night. They're usually held at places of interest, and there's usually food and drinks. So you kind of go there. Sometimes you have to pay, and a lot of times it's free. So you go there, you get a couple of, like, you know, go get a soda or a coffee or a water or something for free, and usually these little snacks you can have for free. And if you have to pay, it's not a lot, and this is a business expense anyway, so it's a tax write-off. But we're basically thinking of like doing stuff like that more often, and then just like turning it into like a date night, like before or after. So it's not like, oh, this whole night's just business. Like, we can intertwine it. But we're gonna try to
really take full potential of our networking group. There's like 80 people in the group across 5 locations in my county, and we only go to like 2 of them, specifically one like near us. I go to the one up north if I don't have any jobs lined up. And I would say out of like the 80-ish people, not including guests that come on a more regular basis, I've probably met like 40 or 50 of them. And of that 40 or 50, like we probably only talk to like 20 of them on a semi-regular basis. And like if we go to a networking event, you know, like we're gonna gravitate towards the people that of those like 20 people. So we're really gonna try to focus on talking to everybody and set up like one-on-ones with them and just be a little bit better with keeping in touch, because building a relationship with another professional, honestly, I think is probably the best thing you can do. Like you talk about word of mouth and personal referrals, why not do that with a business professional that deals with clients on an everyday basis? Like think about like from a mover standpoint, if you can get in touch with a mover who doesn't do junk removal, that can be such a powerful tool for you for junk removal, because almost every time there's a move, there is junk removal either before or after it. Either people declutter before they move, which is the smart way to do so you're not paying twice, or you declutter afterwards, or maybe you downsize, or maybe when you're moving you're like, you know, I'm gonna get a new bed, and then they need to get rid of the old one. And a lot of times you can't put stuff on the curb anymore if you're in an HOA, or certain city restrictions have really gotten a little bit more stricter over time. So oftentimes you need to have like junk removal come out. And if you can get in touch with the mover that deals with multiple people a day, every single day of the week, moving never stops, you know, that could be a great tool. So look at like that example and apply that to every business professional you meet, whether they're a CPA or they're a life coach or they're a bookkeeper or they have a yoga studio or they do property management. Like everybody is a potential referral, and then you can amplify that for businesses because of how many different people they're handling on a different basis, plus the different people they're meeting. Maybe they're having a conversation and someone's like, oh yeah, so this is what we do, blah blah blah, we're gonna have to be changing our location soon, just come up in conversation. And you know, it's gonna be a pain because we're probably gonna have to relocate all of our stuff and probably have to leave behind a lot of it, you know. And maybe they're asking about insurance, like if they know anyone for insurance, and they can say, yeah, I do. By the way, you said you're gonna leave a bunch of stuff behind. We know a junk removal company. And just like that. So like there's networking going on even if you're not actually there doing it. And that can obviously be such a powerful tool. So we're gonna try to maximize our networking group, and then every time we go to a new place, we'll try to meet at least 10 people and actually follow up with those 10 people and meet with them either for coffee or breakfast or lunch, or if we meet like a couple, you know, maybe do like dinner or something, and you know, just kind of try to be a little bit more involved in that sense. So that's some of the changes. There's more, but I could talk for an hour about it. Nobody wants to listen to that shit. So we'll mention things that we do over time as we adjust them, but we're definitely going to try to really gear towards growth with the business. You know, we'll be looking into getting a new truck and trailer, or just a new truck in general. Not going to give too many details there. You know, we're going to be looking into hiring an employee probably in 2025, at least just like a part-time employee, just to get Tanya off the trucks, just kind of grow. You know, we're pulling up to the house right now. We're gonna offload all this crap before it rains, and then I was gonna go to the dump today. I don't know, maybe we'll go tomorrow morning. We'll see. But that's gonna be it for now. We'll see everybody next time. If you work with your spouse or partner or whatever, let me know in the comments something that you guys do now that you did differently when you first started because you didn't know better. Like something you've learned, whether it's payroll or tax related, or just something you've done that you found to be a little bit easier. I would appreciate any feedback on that, because an employee is a new territory for me, and so is working with my soon-to-be wife. So anything would help, and that's gonna be it.